True love is very scary, not the love story of a beautiful boy and a beautiful girl like a moving movie. This is a true story, told to me by a student. Talking about the old house, the debt was sold, so the child had to move quickly. Because I rented a house alone, I had to run around looking for a room. After looking for a solid 2 weeks without finding anything, then while returning from school, he saw a flyer for renting a house, saw that the price was cheap and close to the school, so he didn't need anyone to share with him, so he quickly contacted the landlord and made a reservation. Switch diagrams, then enter at any time. Everything is shared in a strange way, and the baby doesn't think much. However, in the first 3 months it's okay, by the 4th month it's a matter of meeting. At night, when I sleep, I often dream about someone going out without seeing their face, and then I often get anxious and stressed. Especially when it comes to love, whenever you know a guy, you won't be able to stick with him. You often talk about small things, even though you've always been gentle and cute. But breaking up is stable at first, but later on, you often make many mistakes in life, including studying and often having negative thoughts of wanting to leave, especially when your baby begins to get to know his new lover, the more unlucky things happen. However, these are just vague feelings, but the baby has not been shy or shown anything scary. The peak was near the end of the 4th year, when she met a very good guy. The relationship was the strongest compared to the previous guys, but this time the story was more scary. One day, the two of us were on a video call when the other guy asked if there was a boy in my room. She said there was only one boy in my room. The little girl watched for a moment, then suddenly told her to gather her phone and wallet and run to the alley. Her boyfriend would come pick her up, and immediately ran out. He didn't understand anything, so he kept the call, grabbed his things, closed the door and ran out. Waiting 15 minutes later, her boyfriend ran over to pick her up. Her face turned pale and she said that when I called earlier, I saw a guy standing behind me, looking at me, but I looked closely and saw that he had no legs. She was so scared that she asked him to take her to her friend's house and stay there for one night. But after that night, not only did the girl get ravaged, but also her boyfriend and the friend who let her stay with her had a lot of things happen. After listening to her tell her friend her story, the three decided to let her check out and stay with a friend. Even though the room is quite small, it will be cramped for 2 people. But it's better than staying alone, which is very dangerous. She also believes that her lover saw something, because he is a light-hearted person and drowned once when he was young, so sometimes he also sees them, plus other bad luck. The accident happened coincidentally after moving into that house. In the end, she asked her friend to let her live with her and moved out the next day even though she had to pay a month's deposit to the owner. That afternoon, after returning from school, the friend also went to the girl's room to help clean things up. While doing so, suddenly the vase on the desk fell to the ground and broke. Both reassured each other that it was because of the wind. A little later, her lover also came over. This time the whole wave of cups fell and broke. She said it was because she nailed it, but the other guy said, no, it pushed it. Because my friend also lived alone in a rented room, he didn't know what to offer, so he just moved in, but he hasn't seen anything strange yet. When she moved to her friend's house, the first night she was fine, but the second night she was so upset that she couldn't sleep. First, while the two of them were sleeping, someone knocked on the main door. When they opened it, they saw no one but only a cold wind blowing through. After sleeping for a while, I heard the knock again, this time it was on the window. Every once in a while, they would knock on the door a few times, but knocking all night made both of them so scared that they couldn't sleep, so they woke up very tired in the morning. A few days later, this baby continuously suffered from sleep paralysis, felt like he was being strangled very tightly, tried to struggle and call for help to his friend lying next to him but could not move. When I woke up in the morning to check, my whole body had a few bruises as if someone had beaten me. Especially on my neck, it was very painful. There was a hematoma, so I had to buy medicine and patches, but it clearly saw through the night light that a person was sitting on her stomach. He reached out and strangled me. This person was male, he looked quite young but his face was very fierce, his eyes rolled back and he said to her, "You dare leave me, I'll kill you, I'll kill you," she said. I was so scared that I tried to struggle and prod my friend lying next to me but I couldn't. Finally, exhausted, she couldn't struggle anymore and fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up and had black bruises all over my neck. It was so painful that I couldn't talk, so I missed school that day. As for her friend, when she came home from school, she was walking on a normal road when she suddenly became dizzy, had ringing in her ears, and then crashed her car into a few large potted plants next to people's houses. Her whole body was bruised and scratched. The other child was lying in the room when suddenly she saw someone taking her friend home, all bruised, and she panicked. The baby ran to buy medicine, cooked rice for her friend, struggled until the evening, both painful and tired, so they both went to bed early, but fortunately she did not have sleep paralysis that night. The next morning, she saw her friend who woke up early and was still sitting in a corner in a daze. She said, "Yesterday, I'm lucky that guy didn't come to attack me anymore." Suddenly the girl turned around, her face looked very strange, because yesterday he came looking for me. The girl was very scared. The other friend turned around to show her. There was also a black bruise on her neck like the girl often got. The other friend also added that he said it was because I invited you that come stay with me and leave him. He told me to chase you back to the old boarding house, otherwise he would destroy me too. Yesterday I fell off my bike because he followed me. He even threatened me if I didn't. Listen, if you stay here, next time it will really cause me to get hit by a car. After listening to her friend's story, the girl was very scared because her bad luck not only harmed her, but also wanted to harm the people around her. She called home to tell her mother about the strange things from the time she moved in until now. Her mother was very worried, but because she lived too far away, she couldn't come right away and had to make other arrangements, so it would take a few days. She was about to call her lover to ask her to take her to the temple, but she kept calling but no one answered. After a while, a stranger's voice picked up the phone and said, "Boira has just been hit by a car and is in the emergency room, come here immediately." Hearing that, the little girl was so scared that she immediately took the car to the hospital. I heard from my lover's friend that he was going to work normally when he suddenly crashed into a car, but luckily he was driving slowly so his life was not in danger. That night, the girl stayed at the hospital to take care of her lover and was so tired that she fell asleep. In the dream, he saw a boy leading him across a bridge, but he didn't want to go. The other guy kept pulling him very hard and he struggled and didn't want to cross. Suddenly, the other person turned his head. This time he saw even more clearly. The tall young man with a pale face and dark eyes said to him, "I like you, I will take you to be my wife. If you still love him, I will kill him too." After hearing this, the girl was so scared that she woke up and had goosebumps all over her body. At this time, the other guy was also awake. He said that while he was walking, a young man passed by. He avoided him, but for some reason, he hit a car even though the road was very deserted. She also recounted the stories she and her friend encountered. Her lover said, "So it must have been that guy who did it, the guy I saw in my old room the other day." After a few days, his lover was also discharged from the hospital and the baby's mother also came up. Everyone saw that the situation was getting more and more serious, so they went to an acquaintance's address to find a pale face and two black eyes following this girl the whole time, but it seemed like he was scared, so he stood at the door and did not enter the house. Hearing this, everyone's spines went cold because the teacher described him exactly like the person she met in her dream even though she hadn't said anything. The teacher lit incense and prayed for something, then the other guy entered the girl. Suddenly he sat cross-legged and his voice changed to that of a man. He said he liked this girl and wanted to take him to be her concubine. Seeing this, the girl's mother cried and begged this guy to let her go. The teacher also gave a lot of advice, but this guy insisted that he would not push all the cups and glasses in the teacher's house to the ground, shattering them all. In the end, the teacher threatened to use strong measures, so he gave up. He said he would make a meal for him, then burn his clothes and shoes with a wife to let him go, and then he would forgive him. She told me that she died a long time ago in this girl's room. She was abandoned by her lover, so she drank pesticide and committed suicide. The family took her body away but did not perform a ceremony to bring her soul home, so she kept lurking in that room. When she saw this girl who seemed compatible, she decided to take her away. After that, his family also offered offerings to him as requested and asked the monk to perform a ceremony for him to go to the temple to become a monk. Because it had been so long, he could no longer remember where his family was. Later, when everything was resolved, her condition stabilized again, no longer suffering from sleep paralysis or physical weakness. One time, when she passed by the old boarding house, her car broke down. When she stopped to wait for it to be repaired, she talked to the owner and talked about that room. After hearing this, his face turned pale and he told me, more than 10 years ago, there was a student the same age as me whose girlfriend left him and committed suicide right there. Oh my God. It's been so long and it hasn't been reincarnated yet. Some people nearby heard it and got goosebumps. And this is the end of the story. Everyone who listens to the story finds it interesting. Please give me 1 like and 1 subscriber. I hope everyone has fun listening to the story. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.